The Cabbage Patch dance.
The Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah.
Dolls. Which is really an image of how you'll look down the road one day.
Yeah, totally.
You're like that when a baby, and then you're like that later on.
Yeah, totally. Hello, Tata.
Hello, Jilly Bean.
How is my fine-tuned female friend?
My fine-tuned female friend, yours is doing really well. How about yourself? You just came off a flight.
Oh,
you
my
headed up
God.
over here. You're like you're a rock star, girl.
I'm bloated and constipated.
That's what flights do to you.
Yeah, so it was rough because I was only away for, let me see, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, came back Wednesday, and then here we are. And, airplane, very drying for the skin, and then causing the constipation. So I took a lot of probiotics when I got there. And this is the color. Well, for people listening on audio, they can't tell, but I got this new Lululemon jacket because I was doing a segment on HSN.
I love that color.
And yeah, I had to wear this, and I had to find like an amazing color jacket that I could zip up and down to demonstrate the product with. And so I found this color, and I'm wearing it today so you can see it up close in person.
So just so our listeners know, you were doing a shoot at HSN in Tampa.
Yeah, well,
For
we
a
won't.
product.
Yeah, we won't mention the product
No,
just in case.
Just in case. But anyway, it was
in case
exciting.
they want to sponsor us or
Right,
don't want to sponsor
right.
us.
And it was actually at 2 a.m.
Yeah. So HSN, I mean, they are a powerhouse. We've talked about it because your company used to manufacture products for QVC.
Right.
So these guys, they're like the mafia. I mean, they are like tough, and they make the rules. And I wasn't supposed to do a 2 a.m. slot. They kind of let us know last minute, and that's the graveyard. So I did the best I possibly could on this segment, but it didn't sell enough. So I was supposed to go back on the next day at 4 p.m. And so sleep was just so weird. So imagine you're on a time zone 3 hours earlier. 3 hours later, and then you're on in the middle of the night, so it would have really been like 11 p.m. for me, which isn't too bad, but now I'm trying to adjust to their time zone. And then I had to be back to be on air again at 4 p.m., so that means getting there at 1:30. So my sleep cycles were so disrupted. And this is going to bring me to a quick health topic, but so the product didn't sell the quota. There's a
Right,
quota on
absolutely.
HSN and QVC, and you have to
Right.
hit that number. Now, normally they don't really, especially for a product that they know this company, QVC, has a long-standing relationship with.
But I'm surprised they would base it on that first show, because that show keeps running and people can go back to it and they buy, like they keep selling it over time.
On QVC, yeah. So this is a new version of, they made a new design, and this is
Okay.
the first one that they're launching. It's a little more feminine looking, and they're launching this new design for HSN. And anyway, so it's not, you're not supposed to base your sales on what happens on a graveyard shift.
Right.
And so for whatever reason, it was very maybe bureaucratic, or they didn't watch the segment to see like what issues, that were out of my control. And so they pulled the 4 p.m. So there I am, like on the company's dime, like just sitting there in Tampa with my thumb up my butt, sitting in my hotel, and I have no car. And so I'm just sitting in the hotel, and I have nothing to do now because the spot got pulled, and I have to wait an extra day. And so I'm eating, and sleeping
great.
weird times,
yeah.
and my brain is going a million miles an hour because I'm thinking, are they going to call me back for a different time? And I'm trying to
Right.
rehearse stuff in my head. So I hardly got any quality sleep. Now, why do I mention this? Because one thing that's really important for women to know is, and actually everyone to know, that when your sleep cycles get disrupted and you don't get enough quality stage 3 and 4 sleep, you actually get hungrier.
Is that true?
Yeah. Well, your cortisol levels go up. That's one thing, which
okay.
which makes you store fat, so you're a little stressed. But also these other hormones that they found in some studies that affect sleep. And these were some big landmark studies. They tested ghrelin and leptin. Leptin is secreted by your fat cells, and it tells you when you're full. Oh, I've eaten enough. My fat cells are nice and fluffy. Stop eating. Put the fork down. And ghrelin is like the gremlin in your stomach that makes your stomach growl,
Right.
and is secreted by the stomach.
Right.
Now, when you sleep well, your leptin goes down. Your leptin goes up, saying I'm full, and your ghrelin goes up, telling you you're hungry, and your leptin goes down.
Right? Yeah.
So my ghrelin and leptin levels just got like all upside down. So I had I was hungry, and the cortisol from stress was also making me hungry.
You didn't make a little trip to the gym in the hotel, or
I
try
did
to burn some of that?
I did. Unfortunately,
I
was unfortunately the two big hotels in the area, which are the top choices to stay, they were all booked up. And they have the nicer gym. So this place only had a bunch of cardio equipment and one mat and a bunch of dumbbells. So I did what I could. I did a little workout every day. But by the last day, so last night, I was like, I better work out before I go to sleep. I was doing an uphill walk because I didn't like any of the other cardio pieces of equipment. So I just got on the treadmill, and I'm like, all right, a really good uphill walk. And I couldn't even let go of the treadmill. I'm holding on for dear life. I'm like, holding on. And walking at a 3.0, which is like the bare minimum. So just an FYI, if you walk, put on see how far you go. You need to be doing like at least a 20-minute mile or faster. So 20-minute mile is walking at a 3.0 miles per hour.
Okay.
So just check yourself out because you pretty much get no exercise if you're going below that.
Oh my gosh.
Like exercise, walking begins at a 3.0, just putting that out there.
Good to know. And do you think when you have a nightmare at night or you're having a lot of bad dreams, is that making you hungrier, or are you burning more calories? I always was wondering about that, because you were saying having a good night's sleep versus a bad night's sleep. What if you have I've been having a lot of nightmares in my sleep lately, and so has Ben actually. So
interesting. Well, are you eating later at night than normal?
No.
Okay. So sometimes that can happen from eating too late at night.
Of course.
And people have always teased me about being in menopause early because I always get the night sweats.
Oh, yeah.
But I've had the night sweats my whole life. And the later I eat, and if you eat more protein, you actually get even more night sweats. So if you're prone to them, don't eat a high protein meal too close to bedtime.
Okay.
So on the upside, there's something called the TEF, the thermic effect of food, which is how many calories your body actually needs to expend just to break that food down. But your body's supposed to be actually taking a snooze at night. You have something, I'm getting technical, but you have this thing called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN, which is, they just recently found this in the brain, which is your body's time clock. Okay. So the master clock in your brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, regulates all the functions of your body, and it tells all of the cells in your body when to be awake and when to be asleep. It wants you to have all of your cells sleeping and regenerating late at night. So if you're having a lot of nightmares, I don't know if that's bad for health.
It's sort of a stressful situation at night, obviously. So maybe you're getting more appetite as a result thereof, or you're getting the munchies.
Well, I think that the bad dream, I'm just guessing on this, I'm just putting together 2 and 2 with what I do know about the science on this, is that if it's stressful dream, then you might be raising your cortisol levels. So if your stress hormones go up, then that can actually make you store fat. So now if you ate late at night and now your cells are not getting a chance to sleep because, your brain is telling everything to go to bed, and your liver and kidneys and stomach are like, sorry, dude, just got some food, got to work on this, can't go to bed right now. And then now you're releasing stress hormone too because you're having a bad dream. I don't know. It just sounds like a recipe for disaster. Right. Check the scale.
Right. No, thank you. Not now.
Probably not the best thing.
No.
But quick talk about, I know we have a whole list of things to talk about, but just quick talk about makeup. So I guess I should be doing the under eyeliner more often.
I thought it looked really good on you. You did it for your birthday when you had your 50th.
Yeah, and you remembered that, which is crazy. I don't even remember what I wore last week.
I remember because
you told me what I wore last
really
week.
Popped out. I mean, I think it's great for nighttime, you know, to pop it out. And I'm not saying heavy, thick line underneath, but just a sort of smoky effect under the eye, just to pop it at night. Yeah, I'll start doing it more often now. But most of the time, I just get paranoid because it always drips down. Right. Not that I don't love Alice Cooper. I just don't want to be in an Alice Cooper, costume every day.
in my life like I used to be. So I used to do it on purpose. But yeah, so it drips on me. And so what I have to do is put a little bit of what do you call it? Primer under my eyes.
Well,
and
what if you just put like the line and then you take some powder and you just powder over it?
Yeah, I guess I could do that.
That works.
Yeah, I guess I could try that. I don't know, ladies, put your tips in for. But I also feel like my eyes get dragged down, so I just have to be really careful. So usually I just opt out of the under eyeliner. But I was just on camera and they gobbed it on, and then I did a commercial like a month ago and they gobbed on the under eyeliner. And so once I see it on me, I'm like, oh yeah, it does look good, I'll do it. But then after I do it a few times, I'm like, I'm not so great at doing this.
Well, it's interesting because I was reading this article about women over 40 or 50, even more so over 50, makeup that they shouldn't be wearing.
Okay.
And one of the makeups they were saying is not to wear eyeshadow, like heavy. Just
We've
to wear,
talked about that.
Right, to wear lighter colors and nothing that is shimmery.
Right.
Because it tends to go into all the little creases and make it even worse, which I don't really know. I haven't, seen it on myself, and I don't wear much of the eyeshadow. They also said, which I thought was really weird.
I see eyeshadow right now.
I do.
I see a different color on you.
I do have a different color. But they said not tinted moisturizers, which I find are phenomenal. My skin's so dry.
Wait,
yes.
back up. We always wear tinted moisturizer.
I know.
What?
They said not to do it when because it doesn't really, it goes, I don't know why. It goes into your pores. It can make your pores look larger. I find that very deceiving because I find that it makes me it looks dewy on me.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it just smooths out my skin a little bit because, I get when you're working out or you're, out and about and you get a little bit of you get a little red from the sun. And especially because I'm using the Retin-A now.
Right.
So my skin will get a little more red. So I feel like, that tinted moisturizer with SPF is nice because it keeps me from getting too red.
They say that you should take foundation and add a little of your moisturizer to it.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, which I like to do a lot. And then not to use face powders.
I'm so depressed.
They settle into all your little creases and lines on your face, so they actually enhance them.
That's true. We talked about last week putting our faces on.
Putting our faces on.
Like how some women could not walk out the door. Well, let me back up one quick second. So when I did this last commercial for that another fitness product, I asked the makeup artist, and I forgot to tell you, I asked her, I said, is it true? Now, she was also probably in her 30s. I said, is it true that if we're over 40, we're not supposed to wear, eyeshadow that's because I like to wear that Laura Mercier stuff. It's pearlized.
Yeah.
It's a glimmer.
Right.
But not glitter. So she goes, okay, it's a difference. Because there's that pearl stuff.
Right.
I like the pearl stuff. She goes, not the glittery stuff, because that gets stuck in the creases.
Not the glitter, but they were saying anything shimmery to avoid, except for under the eyebrow. But other than that, to avoid it on the lids or,
So, because I always wear a little bit of that moon shadow kind of stuff. It's a little bit pearly.
It's kind of nice in the evening, too, because it gives a little bit of extra shine. A little bit of, I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like it. So, anyway, so there's something that I guess the jury's out on. So whoever wrote that article.
Yeah, I just don't, Anyway, it was an article I read, and everybody has a point of view, I guess. But I do like my tinted moisturizers. I'm not giving that up.
Yeah.
It has my SPF in it, and it's a great little base if you're just running out and doing stuff. You don't want to put a lot of makeup on, but you don't want to look completely naked.
Yeah, and because I get a little bit red on the nose when I'm running around, doing my errands and stuff, or my face gets a little flush, I feel like it keeps the skin tone a little more even.
Something I have been doing lately that I really like a lot is I've been using less powder blush because they said no powders, which I did find that the powder blush does get into my creases under my eyes if I put it too high on my cheekbone. I have high cheeks. To take your lipstick and just dab it on your cheekbone and rub it, it gives you a really natural
my
flush.
Grandmother did that. That's old school.
It's old school's coming back, girl.
That is so 1960s.
Well, it's not.
Are we going to start pinching our cheeks too?
It's so Cleopatra. I mean, it goes way back to time when they used dyes from plants and stuff as makeup, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically the same theory.
Okay. All right. So we're back. We're back to that. Well, that's good because the first thing I ever got from, how do you pronounce that company called NYX? NYX?
I just say NYX.
NYX, NYX. Okay. The first thing I ever got from them in a swag bag from an event was that, it looks like a thick lipstick, but it's blush.
Yeah.
And I used to have a lot of that stuff because that was in the 90s, the cream blush.
Right.
So I guess I'll break back out the cream blush again.
But I find my lipstick color is sort of like a rosy nude color. I put that on my cheeks. It doesn't have any glitter in it or anything, and it gives me a natural flush. I tried to use that NARS Orgasm, which every woman loves, that stick, and that stuff just doesn't look good on me. I look like a marionette doll with it on, with like the glitter just goes into all my creases. It does the same thing powder does.
NARS Orgasm.
Yes,
I don't know what that...
Orgasm. It's a big thick stick. And it's
are you sure you're using it in the right place?
Well, why do you think they make it big and thick? They're trying to attract
I
these
think
women.
you're using it the wrong way.
Anyway, it's
don't read those instructions.
It's their best color in their powder blush.
Your first clue is the battery.
That's not a bad idea, actually. We could invent something called the Orgasm. Oh, let's not give it away. But yeah, so they have it in powder, and then they have this stick. It's a face blush stick, and they have many colors. But Orgasm is their best-selling color.
Wow. Why not?
And it's not just for the name. It really is a pretty color.
Which just reminded me. So I sent you a copy. I sent you, we talk about authenticity a lot. Mm-hmm. And so my friend who has a podcast on like, I forget, like on one of those podcasting networks like iHeartRadio or something like that. I forgot what the distribution is, but she always posts it on Facebook. And so they were talking about like brutal honesty, and I'm like, yeah, this girl's a friend of mine from way, way, way back, and she does it with her husband. Right. And they didn't get married till their 50s, so she like to talk about relationships.
How long were they together?
Total of, I think, like 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. Married for like 4. Yeah. So, right. And they were both over 50. Anyway, so I was like, oh, because we need to get sponsors for our show. And, hopefully from a product that we like and a product that we use. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm thinking, who are the products I use? Who are we going to reach out to? And so I'm listening to my friend's show, and I don't know if they have control over who the sponsors are, but you'll hear this if you haven't heard it yet, because I sent it to you. So the first commercial that comes up on their podcast is for a water repellent sheets. So sheets for people that like to have some crazy sex. And so they're talking about so they're like rubber sheets.
I thought they were for people who were, having inconsistencies.
It probably started off as incontinence.
Little dribbles.
I'm sure it came from like hospitals for people who are peeing themselves in bed. So that's where it was originally made. So the first commercial comes up for these like sheets where you don't have to worry, you can have like crazy sex and stuff. And I'm like, they just are not saying it, but this is for golden showers.
Honestly, I'm just going to say, totally.
Seriously, I'm like, just say it. I was like, the episode is about brutal honesty.
And if you're having such crazy sex, well, how lazy are you not to wash your sheets after? I mean, if you're making that many stains in your sheets, and they're saying you wash them anyway.
And they're saying you can travel with them too.
What about BO? Does BO go in them anyway? Because like if you're sweating it out and really going at it,
I'm assuming they're rubber, and so probably no. So I'm
latex sheets.
So I'm thinking, okay, they're doing their episode is about being brutally honest, which I am all for. That's like I love brutal.
Your alley.
Love be honest.
Right.
So when we were asking our friend who is helping us edit the show, I said, dude, just be honest. If you think that like we shouldn't be doing this, like let me know. He's like, no, you guys are like, you have good content. Right? He goes, I would tell you I would not blow smoke up your ass. Right. So anyway, this episode is about brutal honesty in a relationship, and which I'm into that. And then on comes this commercial, and they're like dancing around the golden shower. It's like, just fucking say it. These sheets are for people who like to do golden showers. That's like, I've had sex in my bed where the sheets got a little bit damp. But they don't need to be rubber. Just pull up the comforters and let them dry a little.
Maybe they're squirters.
And even so,
right?
Even so, I
know a friend of mine. She says that she gets a lot of squirt action when she has her orgasm, and it really wets the bed.
Oh, it really does.
It really wets the bed. Like
Ooh, can we get her as a guest too, Shay?
I can't say that.
Come on, brutal honesty.
No, I won't throw anybody under the rug.
But she told you she has.
Yeah, she told me that she's a big squirter. Which
Jim said he can make me squirt. Now it's been how long we've been together?
I didn't even know what squirting was. I'm sorry.
Stop. You didn't watch Sex in the City? You didn't watch every episode of Sex in the City?
I did. I don't remember squirting.
Okay, what was her name? That woman, the Brazilian actress who married Robert Redford.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, she was in the Milagro Beanfield movie. Can't think of her name right now. I'm just drawing a blank. I see her face, but like, I think her last name started with a B or something. She's a famous Brazilian actress.
Okay.
She married Robert Redford.
Okay.
And later on, when she was like kind of going through, she looked like she was in menopause at the time.
Okay.
She did an episode of Sex and the City, and she was gay, and she was having an affair with Samantha.
Oh.
And she made Samantha squirt. And the whole episode was about squirting.
my
It was
God.
legendary.
I don't even understand what squirting is. Is it urination or is it orgasm?
It's an orgasm where the
With urination?
so your uterus contracts so hard, and it makes the opening so narrow that when you orgasm, it actually goes out like as a squirt instead of like an ooze.
Okay.
Well, those of us with dry vagina don't
weird.
even know about that anymore. But
Because in all my crazy years of being with my girlfriends when we were single, nobody ever talked about squirting.
yeah, and
I never
can
heard
you
of
even
it.
squirt after like 50? Like when you have dry vagina?
Well, not everybody has dry vagina at 50. It's, you know,
Yes, they do.
case by case.
Come on, how long can a woman go without dry vagina?
I don't have it.
I am. That's right. You said you're very
Yeah,
moist.
I'm in good shape still, God willing.
Okay, so the symptom of dry vagina, which I don't think I have yet, but they say the symptom is painful sex. And I sometimes,
Oh.
well, I usually do, well, first of all, Jim is like, you know, he thinks he's a fucking cowboy. So, like, I swear to God, I have to brace. I'm surprised I don't squirt because I have to like sit there and brace, like, oh, hold on, here it goes. Oh, God. But no, so I asked I think one of my doctors told me this. He goes, does it ever hurt when you have sex? I'm like, I wouldn't call it hurting, but I mean, it's sometimes like, you know, depending on the man's technique, like how much they like do the humpty.
Well, what if the guy's really well hung? Wouldn't that be a little bit painful? I mean, you know, it can only go so far.
Yeah. But I'm talking about like the consistency of the
Right,
thrusting.
right.
It's like just like the jackhammering.
Well, you're taking a lot there. You know, it's taking a beating
Yeah.
when you think about it.
Well, what I found out why I don't have a dry vagina pain. What it is like all of me, it's my uterus is tilted.
You would.
Yeah.
Out of all the people I know.
Who?
Right?
If somebody said to you, Anita, out of every single person that you know, one of your friends has a tilted uterus. Take a wild guess. Which of your friends has a tilted uterus?
Chili B.
That's right. Of
Who
course.
told you had a tilted uterus?
A gynecologist.
Well,
who else?
Our
Who else was
gynecologist?
going to tell me?
Dr. Finger?
No, it was a doctor well before him.
Oh.
Dr. Thumb Up the Ass? Dr. Anal Probe?
We never watches the show.
Oh, that's what I call him, Dr. Anal Probe.
Yeah, the probe. To boldly go.
Should I mention? Do we ever mention his name?
You did once, yeah.
Oh, okay. I won't mention it again. He's a great doctor, really sweet.
The best.
Yeah. But so years and years ago, I've known about this for at least 10 years, that I have a slightly tilted uterus. So when I'm having sex, the man's penis is hitting against the
Ow.
side. Yeah.
I'm like cramping feeling then.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, and like I'm just like.
Well, what if you put a tampon in there? When you
No,
used
the
to
tampon
have
goes.
your period?
You know, it's the in and out thing. So it's
Okay.
like, you know. So it's kind of going into it's hitting the wall a little instead of dead center.
So when our doctor goes inside to give you an examination, does he have to go? Does he have to use a navigation system to get in there and find his way?
He uses Waze.
Waze. Oh, that's a little to the left.
Turn left at the fallopian
Okay,
tube.
deep left. Turn to the right.
Yeah.
She's not tilted. She's crooked. She's all over the place.
Yeah, but it's just slightly tilted. So yeah, this one doctor asked me like if it hurts sometimes, and yes. So with men that had a very large penis, yes, that's when I noticed it first. But then I also noticed it with Jim because you know he gets into that like right towards the end. It's just like. And I'm like holding. No, it's a bucking bronco. It is just like you know what you know the mechanical bull.
Right, yeah.
You know, and how you're holding on.
Right.
I'm like, you know, I feel like I'm not gonna fall off that bull.
Have you ever fallen off the bed together?
No.
Okay.
No. But anyway, so I have to angle my body in just such a way.
Oh.
And so that's fine. So I have to do people do the side.
I guess.
The side.
They do everything. I
yeah.
mean, there's every which way.
Right. So I mostly like doing the side tilt, and that's good. And then there's like a perfect spot where I can just sit there and, you know, do
It's
my
always
nap.
good to do the side tilt anyway. Get a good stretch on that side too at the same time.
Yeah, well, my uterus is not. So my uterus is in the normal position when I do
Right.
the side tilt, and that's cool because I can just kind of hang on there for a little while and you know, grab the
I
remote.
just see you hanging on.
Oh no, like, then I can get comfortable in that position for a while,
Right.
and I'm just like, and then, then if I have to move, I'm like, all right, hold on, I got to find the right position. So anyway,
Tilted uterus.
so okay, once again, I have taken us last week we went completely
Off kilter.
off kilter. We needed ways to get back back on.
I know.
Okay, so weekly bitch fest.
We don't have to do them all, but we can talk about, the bitch fest.
We have a lot of
course.
topics.
Right.
Let's do the bitch fest.
Okay, you go ahead because I know this has been really irritating you.
You stole mine. Wait, which one? Oh yeah, that is mine. Okay, right. Yeah, same thing. So,
well, different but same.
We're online a lot. A lot of times there's some really good, they're called lead magnets when you pop onto a website and they say, give us your email, sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get this free book or this free ebook. And certainly I've written a couple of these lead magnets for my website, and I'm doing one for another company that asked me to do one for theirs. And that's how you capture an email. You give me your email and I'll give you something that I spent,
Right.
a couple of weeks writing,
Right.
Some hopefully useful information. And so whatever one I signed up for, I don't know what one it is. I'm now getting the spam every single day, like 5 or 6 spam things that you cannot, and they're in different languages. So I have to go into Google Translate to say which of these, where does it say unsubscribe? I can't even, and there's no unsubscribe button on them.
That's really odd. That sounds like a bug of some kind.
It's not a bug. I mean, it's actual spam.
Is it a spam?
And sometimes it's coming
it goes
from
into your spam, or does it go into your inbox?
It goes into my inbox. So what I keep doing is, and they're all from different companies, and so I keep taking them and putting them in my junk folder. So hopefully my smart mailbox will be like, oh, this is probably junk. But yeah, so now and that I thought that was totally illegal. They can't be sending you ads that you can't unsubscribe from. So I'm so pissed because I'm getting 5 or 6 of them a day.
Right. Well, I know, anytime I sign up to anything, I get thousands more emails from every other company that might have, it's all out there. Once you're putting your information, everybody has access, and they're sending you things.
If the company sells
it. I've unsubscribed several times to several of them, and they still come back. It takes 5 unsubscribes before it actually stops.
Okay.
And then a year later, all of a sudden, boom, they're back.
Yeah.
Right?
I just started getting one from a woman I unsubscribed. I'm like, didn't I unsubscribe from you? But which was okay because I wanted to see what she was selling, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do this program. Yeah, it was some marketing program, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do it. So I unsubscribed, but I guess I'm on another list of hers, and so she started, or she's connected to someone else whose list I'm on, because a lot of companies will share their lists.
Well, this is funny because this is my bitch fest is about the telemarketing. Now I'm getting, all of a sudden, I did that do not call code that you do.
Yeah.
I've done it several times, and every time I look online, that's what they say to do, because I can't block them. And
yes, you can. No, I block the phone numbers.
Right. So when I do block them, they come back from other phone numbers.
Oh, that's
because
true.
It's computerized. It's not people. But I'm getting all these telemarketers. So now what I do is I just hang up. I don't even, I just go click, click, and I'm trying to cut them off, but it just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And it's just getting more and more and more. At one point it had subsided. So, I'm just very annoyed with that because my phone rings all day. It's my main line on my house phone, and it drives me insane. And now they even go to your cell phone. Do you get a lot of telemarketers on your cell phone?
Not as many as I'm getting in my email.
Yeah. Well, you're getting on your email, but you don't have a landline. You have just a cell phone line, right?
Yeah, I just have a cell phone.
Right, yeah. So they find you there. They find you on your landlines. It's crazy.
Do you think they're actually looking for you, or
no?
it's
all done with it's all done with artificial with computers. But it's just that they are computerized messages, and one company that keeps sending me these marketing promos, they have about 17 different. I counted. There was 17 different phone numbers from the same source.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and they're all these long, weird numbers. And sometimes it's Beverly Hills code 310, then it's 717, then it's 417 area codes. It's coming from and it's the same, company.
Unless I'm expecting a phone call, I let any number I don't recognize go to voicemail. and then I check it, and if it's like a spam call, then I block that number. I don't know if it does anything, but hopefully at least that one will call back.
I do that too, but it comes back. It comes back.
Yeah.
Our other ones come in its place. Like it just plays.
It's true. They do come from different phone numbers, because there's a company that calls me up asking me for donations, and they always say, "Hello, can I speak to Richard?" And it's funny because my last name is Brown, and my older half brother's name is Richard.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, maybe they, so I'll go, nope, there's no one here by that name, and then they start giving me their pitch for a fundraiser or something, and then I go block this caller, and then a few months later I get another one.
Right back.
"Hello, can I speak to Richard?" I'm like,
I don't even get the hello. You know how they do it for me? They're very tricky. They go, "Hi, Anita, how's it going?"
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, what?
Oh, they don't even have my name.
They have my name, and they're like, "Hey, Anita, how are you?" Or, "Hi, Anita, long time." They find a way to get you to admit it to you because you think it's someone you know. They're very tricky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I don't have that going on.
Yes, I have had that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what's worse, that or the email. They both suck. Okay, what's our next topic?
Well, we have a lot of them.
Oh, boy.
You have to talk about, you wanted to talk about feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, what else are we talking about?
Okay. The importance of taking your meds. About ourselves, our personalities, the differences between us, why we are together, like we have an odd attraction to each other because
we have an odd attraction
to
each other.
because we're kind of opposites. Like, I mean, you're much more, of an alpha, and I'm alpha, but I'm more alpha passive, and you're more like honest, and you don't care you'll say what you want to say. I'm more reserved. You even said to me once, like, I was a little bit icy and cold.
A little bit.
And you're like in someone's face right away, and you're sort of like a tough chick with an iron fist, and I'm more like the velvet glove that covers that iron fist. I try to put the
I'll share
glove on the crazy.
I'll share what that is.
Okay.
So, a big thing that we talked about a few weeks ago when we were talking about brutal honesty, and when I admitted vulnerability to an ex-boyfriend.
Right.
And because it's the scariest thing to do is to be vulnerable. Well, the other big fear, and I was brought up in a very fear-based house.
That's always pleasant.
Yeah, well, you were not, because your father was like, G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Literally G.I. Joe. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So I was such a shy kid, like to the point of like painfully shy. Like someone would talk to me like we lived in Manhattan when I was a little kid, and someone would just say, "Hey, love your little dress," or whatever, and I'd be so shy to talk to anyone. I don't know where it came from. I don't know.
I was like that too. I would turn beet red, and I wouldn't even be able to talk back because I got choked up.
Yeah, I was so shy, and I would hide behind like my mom's legs, my grandfather's legs, like because someone talked to me. I'm like,
you.
So I'm painfully shy, and I hated that about myself. Like, and I remember then, so now cut to a few years later, I'm like 8 years old, and my grandparents would always take me on a cruise over the summer because they lived in Miami, and we were only like 15 minutes away from the cruise lines, and my grandmother wouldn't fly. So each summer we'd go on one of those cruises from Miami to the British Island, the British Virgin Islands, or the U.S. Virgin Islands, or wherever, Bermuda, etc. And I would always need a playmate because it was just me, solo child with my grandparents. So not that much fun, right? Although they were great, trying to keep me entertained. They did everything for me. But I would look around the cruise ship and look for someone my age to play with. Or even if they took me, like, let's say to like Coney Island or something.
Right.
I wouldn't want to get on the ride by myself. So whatever it is, I needed a playmate.
Right.
And you know this because you're an only child.
Right.
I would actually have to ask my grandparents. I'm like, she looks like my age. And,
you would?
Yeah, and my grandparents would have to go over and ask the parents if would your daughter like to come play with our granddaughter. I had to ask my grandparents to ask someone if they would be. Will you ask them to be my friend?
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Fucking pathetic, man. I was like that, and I was like that probably. I mean, I don't even know till I was like early teens, maybe 12.
Isn't that weird?
Or whatever. And I also got like picked on a lot too. So I think I was afraid that somebody would make fun of me also because I was one of those, sob story, like, oh, why did Jill become a buff trainer? Because I got my ass kicked all the time, and I was like, I was picked on.
Right.
And
I was too.
bullied.
But yeah, in different ways. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so my way around it was like, I'm just too freaking shy. So I just decided to get over that fear and just be like, you're going to be my friend right now.
But it's not that New York thing, though. Like, you're in everybody's face.
I just didn't want to have that fear.
You say what you think and total stranger or on the street.
But I had to make that happen.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's, I just, I just decided not to be shy anymore.
I call you the Iron Fist because, first of all, Iron Fist, you're buff, you're in shape, you're tough.
I have a lot of calluses.
A lot of calluses. And when I walk with Jill and, she says it like it is. If somebody's in the way, she's like, hey, why don't you move? And like she doesn't hold back. I'm polite. I'm like, do you mind? And she's like, do it. So we're a little opposite that way. I'm a little more buffered and you're like right in their face. And you're not afraid of it. You think it's perfectly fine. And sometimes I'm like, geez, Jill, you could have been a little more delicate. And she goes, why? What'd I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong.
If you want something, you just say what you want. So we're walking down the street and so my dog's taking a poop and you're like, pull your dog out of the way so those people can walk by. And I'm like, hey, walk around me.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, how obnoxious are you?
I'm like, I was in this spot. Yeah, so some people say it's obnoxious.
I'm like totally kind. I'll move over and I'll be respectful. And you're like,
who says it's not respectful?
Walk the fuck around me, man.
It's a public street. I pay my taxes to be on the
sidewalk. She's taking up the whole sidewalk. Her dog's taking a crap. And she's not moving. And there's like 2 people coming. And they're like, they have to displace themselves and walk on the street around Jill and her crapping dog.
That's right.
Or dogs.
They usually do have to. Well, yeah, because
I'm dying.
It's usually when I'm holding.
This doesn't reflect on me, I hope.
Yeah, I have done that. Do I feel bad about it? No. Is it a little bit rude? Yes, I admit that's probably a little bit rude.
I just have to explain to him she's from New York. She's from New York. Okay.
Now, okay, but if the woman is like 80 years old and in a walker, I look at, but these are like able-bodied people.
No, I've seen you do it to old people.
No, I have not done it to old people on purpose. I've not done it to old people on purpose.
However, if anybody's in trouble, she'll be the first one to the rescue at the same time.
That's for sure. I will administer CPR.
Right. You're right there. You're like, oh my God, like she wants to be right in the middle. She wants to be helpful. But hey, if she's on the sidewalk, you're moving on the road.
If my dog is pooping, walk around.
It's like crazy.
But no, not if it's an old person like in a walker or something. If I notice, because sometimes, I don't hear them coming up behind me and I don't realize I'm in the way. And then someone says, Jill, you're in the way. I'm like, oh, okay.
Or Jill will say, you wouldn't be in a walker if you'd work out a little.
Yeah, I might say, but I wouldn't say that to them. So, I mean, I feel like, I don't have a filter, but, and I can be, but I like, you don't get what you want if you don't say what, if you don't say it. So if there's an able-bodied person walking by, well, like the perfect example, this was a bitch fest. If anybody listened to one of our first episodes, Jim and I had it out one day and I had to like lay the iron fist down.
That's Jilly.
Because some kid was like 13 years old on a scooter coming down the street and on like a bird scooter, motorized scooter.
Okay.
And I'm walking the dogs and I'm taking up most of the sidewalk. As usual.
Right.
and anyway, so Jim's like, get out of the way. This guy's coming by on a scooter. And I looked at him, I said, excuse me?
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me.
Right.
Fucking excuse me? And Jim is like, you're so rude. You're so rude. I'm like, dude. And I was fuming. I said, that is a 13-year-old kid. I am a 50-year-old woman. Who gets out of the way? Who gets out of the way?
A 13-year-old kid has no respect.
So I'm like, and I'm not moving. I'm like, that kid is either going to go, he's either going to go ramp up and
going down.
He's going to jump over me. He's going to fall on his face. He's going to get in that street or get off that scooter and walk by.
Right.
Because I am not moving.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, I think
not sorry.
Perhaps in that case, you're right. I don't think that's wrong.
Exactly.
Because, but I say, like,
who gets out of the way? A 50-year-old woman or a 13-year-old snot-ass kid on a scooter? Actually, he was a very nice kid. He did actually stop and go around me.
Aw, see?
He did the right thing. And I said, Jim, did he give me... I said, he did the right thing. He stopped, walked around, and got back on his scooter.
And that's why Jilly B is the Iron Fist, but I am the Velvet Glove, and that's why we fit so well together.
Oh, yeah. So you wanted to explain to the audience why we're so close.
Right. We're so close because, I understand Jill, actually, and where she's coming from because, obviously I've worked in New York and I come from the East Coast. I get that mentality a little bit, but I also my dad was tough and, I just have a little bit of that guy in me and I can deal with Jill. I understand you in a way. And I'll tell you what I think. Like, Jill, you're being a total bitch.
Yeah, it's fine. I prefer
she doesn't care.
That.
She lets me say those things to her. She lets me insult her if I have to. She's
okay
with it. It doesn't hurt our relationship.
Be brutally honest. I would much
rather,
like, it's like listen, I ramble on and ramble on. We're women. We just go, Tony Robbins calls it the Meadow Report. We have to give you like the whole background. It's like, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to wear today, but first I had to tell you everything I tried on before that. Have to give the whole background.
Detail by detail.
Detail by detail. So what led me up to this particular jacket choice today? Well, I put on this color, and then those sneakers. Right. So
Jill's Day, the movie.
So women do that. We have to give you
just chapter 1.
Yeah. But as women, we do that. We have to give you the whole backstory before we have to give you the background. Men hate that. Totally hate that. So, I just feel like I forgot, what was I talking about?
Well, you did traumatize one senior citizen with that little dog, that little Chihuahua dog you can't stand.
Oh, that woman annoys me a little bit.
Right? Because you don't think she trains her dog well. She's an entitled dog who's very snippy and, doesn't like anyone sniffing him, but that dog could sniff everybody. And
right.
You just don't she knows you don't like her.
It's not that I don't like her. It's just that she has a tiny little dog, and she just never took responsibility for training that dog.
I know. So now she pays the price with Jill.
So she feels
her ire.
It's like you have a little Chihuahua. It's not that hard to control your little Chihuahua, right?
Right.
So just lay down the law. Be the alpha. You're the owner of this dog. You're the master. Yeah. So that's what annoys me. It's just that she is like,
show it to her. She knows.
Yeah.
You don't approve of her and her dog.
No, she's fine. The dog's fine. But, when she comes up and she says, oh, excuse me, I can't let your dog sniff my dog because she might snap. I'm like, don't worry, my dog will be fine. My dog won't snap back. Mm-hmm. And then I forgot she just gives all these excuses for why it's okay for her dog to sniff yours.
But he doesn't like his ass sniffed. And he might snap at your dog if your dog sniffs.
And my dog will be like, all right.
Yeah.
So and I try to tell people, listen, just because you don't have control over your dog doesn't mean I don't have control over mine. If your dog sniffs my dog's ass, my dog will be fine with it.
Right.
But then my dog can't sniff your dog's ass because your dog might snap. It's like, well, don't worry. I promise you my dog won't snap back.
One of our subjects is how people perceive us versus how we perceive ourselves. So you don't perceive yourself like being like that, but actually as a bystander, when I see you, I think you're being incredibly bitchy. And, that's okay with you, though. You don't mind it, but you don't think you are. You're just
No, I do think I am.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm doing that on purpose to show them to show them that I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm not cool with this.
No, but you have to see your verbiage, the way you speak, the air you give off. Like you say, I'm icy, man, you're like a thunderbolt.
I disapprove of how this woman is with her dog. And but I didn't say that. I mean, if I really wanted to be me, I would just tell her, I'm like, listen, you need to take better control of your dog and maybe get a couple of lessons in how to, train your dog a little bit. It's like,
I'm just surprised when your dog's taking a crap and you're standing there and there's 3 people our age or older walking on the sidewalk and you just look at them like, yeah, you can take the street, man. I'm not moving. I'm surprised you don't just say, get the fuck off the sidewalk. Just, I just feel like I'm more diplomatic. I'll move aside. Hi, how are you doing?
Here's how I perceive that. In my brain, I'm thinking, okay, so my dog, I was here first. People walking towards us can see that there is a dog taking a crap here, and I'm taking up partial.
And how does it behoove you to step aside next to your dog on the grass where he's taking his enormous shit?
Well, because on those situations, I'm holding 2 dogs. That's why. Okay. If I just had Louie, I would. But when I've got big Rizzo, and Rizzo walks back and forth across the street, that's that. And I have to have, and I got to get 2 leashes in one hand, and it's just, and they see it happening. They have plenty of time. It's not like they're driving 45 miles an hour on the sidewalk and can't stop. They see that they're coming towards a person who's managing a big dog and a little dog and has to pick up some poop. So maybe 10 seconds before you get to me, plan on walking around. That's how I see it. I'm like, they're
just trying to be totally inconvenient as possible as I can to other people.
Okay, look at this way. What I would not do is I would not walk. So if these people are walking towards me and my dog decides to take a crap, I would not just stop right in front of them and be like, okay, my dog's taking a crap right here, right now. Mm-hmm. I would move to the side. I would lead my dog over that way.
Begrudgingly, she would do it, perhaps.
Yeah, well, my dog wouldn't stop and take a crap right in front of someone. They'd actually move over too because they don't want to be interrupted during their favorite part of the day. Is the highlight of it. I mean, what does the dog have to look forward to? 2 things.
The highlight of everybody's day.
Yeah, come on. That's right. That's true. One thing we share with our dogs is the highlight of our day is that perfect poop.
Right.
And so I don't want to take that joy away from them.
Okay.
And they don't want to lose that joy. So they move to the side. They take their little poop. And I don't stop in front of somebody walking towards me. I just happen to be there first. So I expect them to like navigate around. They see that I've stopped.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, that's just to explain our two personality types. So you're like this iron fist, a little bit more hardcore, in your face, kind of tough. She works out. She's very dedicated. She's disciplined because when Jill does something, be it a fast or whatever, she goes full force, hardcore. And I'm a little bit more of the other side. I'm the velvet glove. I cover that little iron fist of hers sometimes to simmer her down. Or
that sounds very sexual.
It does. I'm more, I'm a little more buffered, perhaps.
Yes. My grandmother always said,
Or icy, like Jill would say.
well, when I met you, you were definitely the ice queen.
And that's me being warm.
Yeah. Oh no, you're vetting people. I mean, if I see that there's somebody out there that I want to be friends with, I'm like, I'm not going to be the shy person, the shy kid that I grew up to be, or that I grew up as. And if I decide I want to be friends with someone, I just walk up to them and be like, hey.
Well, that's just your personality type again.
That's the thing is I don't know because I wasn't like that.
Right.
I wasn't born the way. I think I had to make myself that way. So I think, we do. So I've always wondered at this about authenticity is that, the kid we were, like, is that our authentic self or is it the person that we develop ourselves to be?
Well, I think that in our moments of weakness, we always go back to those roots of the kid we were because that's the first thing that comes out to attack us. It's our weakness. It's always there.
Is it a weakness or is it just who we innately are?
Well, it became, it was a weakness because we had to improve it, right?
Yeah.
So it was something about our childhood we didn't like about ourselves that we felt we had to improve.
Right.
Right.
But is that inauthentic? To change it because we really were shy.
No,
but
that's like saying you want to lose a lot of weight if you're overweight. Is that inauthentic? No. I mean, the point is that you're doing it for self-improvement because it makes your life better.
Okay.
Right?
So, yes, but I've always wondered, like, what's authentic and what's inauthentic? Like, because people always talk about, like, are you trying to be someone that you're not?
Right.
Whether it's in a relationship with someone else to try to like take on a certain personality. Because sometimes around certain people, like I'm not always a bitch, but around that woman, I'm like, okay, bitch comes out now. But it's not like I'm not always a bitch.
She literally crosses the street when she sees us walking now. Like she's afraid of Jill.
Okay, I'll let you in on a little secret then. So then when you are like that to someone, when you start being nice to them, they really appreciate it.
Right.
They're like, oh, it's like winning over the
Well, you should have used that technique in school in the bullying days.
I couldn't. I was too busy getting thrown down flights of stairs, getting my hair pulled and getting called ugly.
You know what they say? You got to get up and throw them back.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was like, I got picked on a lot and bullied in junior high school and well, no, not later towards the first year of junior high school, not the second 2 years, and then in the beginning of high school.
How bad do you think bullying still is today? Because now we're so aware of it and it's unacceptable. And
that's not on our sheet.
No, but since we are talking about bullying, I think it's an important point because today, back in the day when someone got bullied, they got a little slap on the hand, maybe an hour of detention and life was done with. Today, I think it's a much bigger deal.
Oh, it's worse than ever. It's only because of social media.
Right.
Like the worst we did is we would make crank phone calls to the person's house.
Right.
And say,
no.
You
used to get ganged up on.
Yeah, but I mean, like, as far as, like, not being in person. Like, now,
No, but I'm talking about people that are afraid to go to school because they're going to get beat up.
Oh, well, I think that gets exacerbated by what happens on social media because they're calling them out on Facebook and then all their friends see them and then the next day they go to school and then everyone's picking on them.
But schools definitely take more action now.
Yeah.
They didn't do such a big deal out of it. They're like, okay, well, toughen up, and, you can't run and hide. You got to face your problems, your demons. And today they protect you. You have that protection.
Yeah. Yeah, but more kids I think now are killing themselves, and it's worse because they can't.
Well, that's also because of social media and Facebook and everything. The bullying follows you, and we had mentioned that once before. It's like 24/7 today.
Yeah, now it's 24/7 exactly. So I mean, I guess I don't know what people can do to make it stop, except for bullies have to get bullied. They have to. They just. That's what I feel like.
Well, bullies are usually bullied because they're empowered by people that surround them and support them bullying.
And they're
all afraid of them.
And they're always taught it somehow from a parent, is what it seems like.
And you never know what's going on at home either, and why they're reacting that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like people who have been abused turned out to be abusers themselves.
Absolutely.
So I think that's why it has to really go to the parents.
Kids that were extremely entitled and got away with everything.
That's true too.
I saw that in my high school.
Yeah.
The most spoiled, rotten person was so entitled they got to be the biggest bully in school and got away with it.
That's true too. Yeah.
Right.
So there's both. So there's the abusive parent that turns their kid into a bully, and then there's the over.
That's why parents have to teach their kids compassion and sensitivity, because
but the parents don't necessarily have it.
They don't have it, but I mean, it's the skill set.
Yeah.
You have to have that, because these bullies, let me tell you, they get away with it in school, but then they get into the real world. I don't think they go that far with that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how we can fix that.
Yeah.
We can't solve all the world's problems.
Why can't we, Jill? We've
solved a few.
We're solving a lot of world problems.
We've solved a few. We can't solve them all.
Right.
So let's talk about the next problem.
Okay, you pick it.
So we were talking about our dogs and our friends, like we started talking about this last week about, being vegan. Should we wear vegan products? I went to my friend Susan's house, and she showed me these great like Uggs that are really comfortable. It's another brand the vegan brand of Uggs.
Right.
And then we talked about like the whole kosher thing, which led me to my rant about the people in my neighborhood who just leave garbage everywhere. It drives me nuts.
Yes.
I'm trying to find these people, like who leaves their garbage all over the place. And these are like, and these are conservative, actually the Orthodox Jews.
Right.
And
you were saying that, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, do they, just because they're walking with like 5 kids, maybe they don't see the kid putting the garbage down?
Well, they should just have a cleanliness law.
Yeah.
You get a ticket. You get a fine for being illiterate.
Well, I live across the street from Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm. And so on one side of the street, no one does that.
Right.
And on my side of the street, they do. And I'm like, I got to find these people. And we have to have guys, I thought maybe we should have a neighborhood watch and let's find the people who are leaving leaving like yogurts out, and soda cans, and then like to-go food. And then my dogs are like, happy.
But isn't that considering defacing of property or something? Like, isn't there some kind of?
I think it's just called littering.
It is littering, but I mean, there must be some law.
You know what? And the dogs are so happy. So that's the thing, is like if I stop them, the dogs are like, what? They're like, buffet time? What are the neighbors leaving out for me? I hope somebody left the French fries.
Well, we had a problem in our neighborhood, which is Beverly Hills, is that somebody was putting out some dog treats or something, and they had put poison in it.
That was happening all over the place.
Right?
That's so.
And we had that I think 2 years ago here in this neighborhood.
And your friend Jamie down in Manhattan Beach, it happened to him.
Yes.
And he lost his dog.
He lost his dog. Just came home and the dog was dead.
Back in the day that I did the news in Colorado, there was people doing that. They were putting poison in like treats, and I think because it was rural, they were trying to probably get rid of coyotes or something.
Oh, that could be.
And the dogs were eating it, and like all these neighborhood dogs were dying. It's oh God, awful. So speaking of what dogs should be eating, so do kosher people feed their dogs kosher food?
Right.
I think so.
Well, I wonder.
I think they don't. They're not going to let because I always wonder, I'm like, well, first of all, a lot of Hasidic people don't have dogs because they find it uncleanly.
But even the
and I'm like, have you seen the garbage you left on my front yard?
But even people that are reformed and they still keep their house kosher, they can't let pork into the house. But there's, pork byproducts and whatnot in dog food.
But if you're reformed, you can let pork into your house. That's why you're reformed.
Oh, you can?
Absolutely.
Because I have friends that are
reformed.
They're considered reformed, but they keep kosher in the house only.
They
but
do?
They'll eat non-kosher everywhere else. Yeah.
Oh, well, you can make up your own thing now. Yeah. That's cool.
Well, I guess I don't know.
It's
very complicated.
Everyone can make up their own. You can make up your own versions now.
So I was watching the show on Netflix called Dogs. Have you seen it?
Yes.
You did?
A long time ago. Is it a brand new one? I've seen an older one. Okay.
So it's like different episodes about people and their dog and different relationships. The first episode was about this man from Iraq. He was a student and he lived in Berlin and he had to leave his dog. And the whole mission was for his friends to find a way to get his dog out of Iraq and bring him to him in Berlin. The love they have with their dogs. And he's like, without my dog, I'm lost. And then the next episode was this man in Italy and his dog and how he was his best friend. I mean, these people consider their dogs. I mean, his dog was a Labrador. He sat at the table in a chair at dinner time with them.
What's wrong with that? We do that all the time.
I know, but I'm just saying.
#, dinner and dogs.
Yes, we do that.
We do that.
But a lot of people, they get offended by it. They think that's a dog. It's a dirty animal. It has, mites in it or whatever.
And what do you say to that?
No. I love my dogs. You know how I am about them. I just think they're the most giving, selfless things that you can have. They're better than humans because humans, they judge you. Dogs never judge you.
Yeah, but you like to be polite. So if you're at a restaurant and your dog is with you and somebody gives you the hairy eyeball because your dog is like, getting on your lap or whatever, what would you say? I know what I would say. I think we can all imagine what I would say.
To see the wrath of Jill. Forget it. All I know is there'd be an arrest in that restaurant. And it wouldn't be the person that was giving her a hard time.
So you would definitely, your would come out.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm going to protect something. But some people are just too much.
No, but they would just be mad at you because, oh, look at this woman.
Well, if my dog is clearly annoying somebody at the other table, not everybody has to love dogs. They're not forced to. So I'd pull my dog away. That I understand. But if they came to me and said a nasty comment, oh yeah,
okay.
the claws would come out for sure because that's my other side.
Yeah.
The loco side would come out. You have to be careful with that.
So should we be vegan because we love our animals so much?
Well, that's another thing. And should we wear or eat anything that has fur?
Yeah, I mean, I think about it all the time.
And a heartbeat.
I think about it all the time.
A heartbeat. Never mind fur. Should we eat anything with a heartbeat?
Yeah, I think about it all the time. I mean, one thing and when I think about it from a health perspective, the truth of the matter is, or I can't say the truth, but my theory on this, which I believe is probably biologically true, there's a reason why vegetarians and vegans have to supplement with vitamin B and supplement with certain amino acids, right? Because being vegetarian or vegan is not in our DNA.
No.
Right, or else our bodies would be adapted.
Well, we wouldn't have the teeth we have.
True, right, and we would be adapted. We would be adapted to not needing as much vitamin B or amino acids.
Listen, first man that ever lived, I mean, all they cared about was eating. And if they saw animals eating at a dead animal, they would do the same thing just to eat. They're just trying to feed themselves and survive. They don't thinking about their dietary needs. And
so I'm saying we're built for that. Yeah. But should we? I mean, I would like to not eat any animals. But I cut way back, and I have been vegan.
You are also making sure that where you're getting your meat from, it's treated fairly and humanely. You don't want to, like the slaughterhouses have become such a mass, consumerism, and they treat their animals terrible. They just want to pump them up, kill them, get them out, sell. It's just a business. They don't care. There's no humanity involved.
Yeah, when I read that book, The Jungle, by Upton Sinclair, when I was in 8th grade, I was completely traumatized. And then, I saw Charlotte's Web and Babe, and I'm like, oh, you can't, yeah. So, I mean, I never eat pork, and I eat almost no red meat. I eat a lot of fish, but I can't and chickens are the number one consumed meat in the country, and they are treated the worst. And I would love... You mean
when they swing them around to break their necks?
Well, that's a Jewish... I actually protested, and they stopped doing... They were doing this at a temple.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that do that, like farmers and stuff, like in the outskirts of every town.
Oh, no, there's a holiday in the Jewish religion where they take a chicken, and it's for some prayer, and they swing it around till its neck snaps, like over your head.
Well,
you ever heard about that?
What about in the Bible where they sacrifice a lamb and they slit its throat and let it bleed, and that's a sacrifice they make for...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it goes so far back.
Yeah.
It's hard to get people away from that. I mean, I think it's terribly cruel. And so I didn't buy Uggs this year because after what we talked about with my friend Susan and what we talked about with with how they're sheared, and I didn't realize that they were in so much pain. But
they're not sheared; they're killed because they're using the skin.
Yeah, but they're eating the sheep too.
Right.
I guess I feel like I don't want anything to go to waste.
But the bad shearing comes from wool. You're right about that.
Yeah, but I guess I don't really want to go. I know that there's no way to stop everybody from eating meat. If we can stop factory farming, that would be my favoriteest thing ever, because I do believe that humans need a certain amount of that you have to have a certain amount of meat to be healthy. You don't need a lot. They actually found out recently that too much protein it will age you. Too much protein and too much carbs. Yeah, eating too much ages you faster. We'll talk about that in another episode.
That would be interesting. I'd like to know about that because I do eat a lot of protein, and it's not necessarily meat, but any source of protein.
Yeah, well, they found that high protein diets. This has been this was just reported recently. This was done on an epidemiological study, so that means they based it on hundreds of thousands of people. But people who eat higher carbohydrate diets tend to live longer. The blue zones,
right?
Mostly vegetarian, and then the people who eat higher protein diets die sooner. Now, there could be a lot of confounding factors, like maybe those people like eat hamburgers and smoke, you know, and are eating it with like a lot of cheese.
And fatty meats.
Yeah. So, but and also maybe the people who eat a lot of meat, they just don't have any energy left to exercise because they're eating those burgers every day. But it's epidemiological, so they're looking at lots and lots of studies, and overall they found that the people who eat more protein have a shorter life expectancy than people who eat higher carbohydrate diets. Overall. Now, obviously, you can be paleo and be eating the healthiest possible meat and eating a lot of protein, but we don't know if they live longer yet because that diet's pretty new. So we don't know. The only thing that we actually do know is that the people who are primarily vegetarian are the people that happen to be in the blue zones and they happen to live longer. So yeah, but they also have more family and social contact.
Does that include eating fish? Because I think
yes. Yeah, they do recommend eating fish.
Yeah. So, getting back to our subject on fur and whatnot. So, a lot of luxury brands are using fake furs now.
Yeah.
They're not, and I mean, I know it all started with like Stella McCartney. She always was vegan and she never used leather. Her shoes are always out of, synthetic materials. They're not leather. She uses fake fur. But now we're talking about higher end luxury brands that have always been using fur, like Fendi. And now they're only converting everything to, well, I think they're converting to fake furs because there has been such a ban on fur, and there's been a voice about it and so much information because of the social media that we're actually seeing images now, they're much more rampant, and they're very, very descriptive in what you're seeing.
Disturbing. They're disturbing.
They're disturbing, but it's like it shows everything that they're doing to these animals and how they're killed, and some of them how they're, I can't even talk about it.
Yeah, once you see it, but then people.
It's not just the traps and the animals chewing their paws off and all that. This is like awful. The skinning process.
That's awful too, that they chew their paws off when they get trapped.
I think skinning something alive is beyond.
Oh, God.
Right?
Yeah. So, they electrocute them first and then they skin them alive.
No. There's places that skin them alive.
Oh, I've seen that too.
And I see the bodies still wriggling after. Okay, I can't even go there, but I have to tell you, after seeing that, I was like, oh my God. So
I still wear leather. Obviously you do too. And that's, and I've talked to my vegan friend about it, who will be on this show, we hope.
Right.
She's over 50 and she's a hairstylist, and I think she'd be a great person to talk about like the best hairstyles for women over 50, because I always need advice on that. But she stopped wearing leather. She started converting. And I said, people are going to keep eating meat. So, I mean, it would be, I don't like it to go to waste.
That's basically it. They're using, they use the cows for the meat, and then the hides are for the leathers. So they're actually using everything.
The original humans have always done that. Right. They've used every part of the animal. So, so that's the thing.
I don't know necessarily that synthetic is that good for your skin.
That's the other. So there's another interesting thing. And
doesn't breathe.
Yeah, that's the other interesting thing. So this ex-boyfriend of mine, who is a veterinarian, was trying to buy me a fur coat in Aspen. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He took me into a fur store. And the guy who owns the fur store actually happens to know my brother-in-law, who took over a family business of fur.
Right.
And so I'm like, so we'll get into this whole conversation now. And so I wouldn't wear the fur coat he wanted to buy me. And he said, he studied agriculture and in high school, and then he became a veterinarian and stuff. And he says, you know what? He says, that fake fur that you wear and that synthetic stuff that you wear, he goes, those are made out of petroleum products. And that's the stuff that's destroying the ozone layer, the atmosphere, that's polluting our waters, that's getting into our seafood. He goes, so those petroleum products are actually worse for the environment. It was at least nowadays when they kill a mink or they kill whatever animal it is, they use every part of that animal. They make, dog food or other products. So they render every piece of the animal. And I'm like, it's about the torture for me.
Yeah. Again, how humane is the killing?
Yeah, it's the humanity.
And is killing even something you could say is humane in any form? It's killing.
Exactly. So I don't know. Jury's out. I definitely feel like there's a new diet called Pegan.
What's that?
It's your kind of paleo, kind of vegan.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, how does that work?
Or
Like-
kind of pescatarian. So
Okay.
you can eat any meat as long as it's like what paleo people eat. I did the paleo diet. I've done the
Right.
vegan diet.
Yeah.
So on paleo, everything has to be sourced. Like if you eat chicken, it has to be pasture raised. Beef has to be grass fed. Blah blah blah. And the fish has to be sustainably fished, and no pesticides, no blah blah blah. So basically, you're vegan, which is everything organic and whole foods, vegetarian, no animal products. So vegans, like strict vegans, don't even eat honey. So
I know.
Yeah. So no animal products. But I guess if you're vegan, you can probably have honey, and you can have some meat as long as it's perfectly well raised. So I'm really leaning towards that.
That sounds interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you do the paleo version of it, you can't have grains either. So I'm not sure. But they say you can have low glycemic grains. I mean, if you can make up your own freaking diet. I mean,
guess
every day
yeah.
a diet book comes out. I'm like, I'm gonna make up my own Iron Fist bitch diet.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, just go tell
And
you.
you have to cater to everybody's personal needs so that everybody's satisfied and can follow that diet.
Yeah, so you can make up your own. So for me, it's like knowing, like I felt terrible in Tampa because I had no ability to go out and get the food that I wanted to get. I was stuck at a hotel, and so I couldn't ask the guy who was putting together the salads, like, where's that chicken from?
How about just a simple common sense diet, everybody? Like, hey, let's not eat processed foods. Let's try to eat healthy, organic, fresh farm.
Yeah, we've been trying to get people to do that.
Let's just be sensible and perhaps, stay away from all the greasy, fried and sugary stuff and, just try to eat everything in portion control. That diet actually works, and you can eat what you want as long as you're not eating junk.
Good luck. Go cross Burbank Boulevard and see how far that goes. You go 5 miles
Well,
north.
don't come crying to me, honey, when you're having a heart attack or
All bets are off. You go
have
5 miles north.
cholesterol hell.
5 miles north of
Diabetes.
here. 5 miles east of here. All bets are off. It's Wendy's, McDonald's. It's right. I mean, it's only in this
Well,
little
I'm just
area.
saying, if you want a healthy diet and you want to eat what you like, here's a way to do it.
Exactly. We've been trying to, in my business, we've been trying to tell people that for years and years and years.
Right.
It's like, just don't eat processed food.
It's called moderation.
Yeah, just cut out sugar.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good luck. But, I mean, if you care about the animals or you
Yes.
care about, like, where the food comes from,
Yes.
like you can still eat animals, but how well was it treated, then, shop at your farmer's market. If you're going to eat meat, and make sure that it came from, a local farm where you can drive by.
It online. You can see the farms. There's a lot of places in California, if you're in California or wherever you're from.
I get my eggs from a place where they have a live cam, and you can see the hens running around in the pasture. Yeah, Vital Farms.
Right, I love Vital Farms.
I love Vital
Yeah.
Farms. And you can go online and see their chickens running
And
around.
why not just do that? It's eggs. You're getting your eggs. Why not take that choice?
Because they're $2 more, so some people don't want to pay $2 more for eggs, and so you wind up with the cage free, but they're still cooped up. Just because they're not in a cage doesn't mean they're not in a chicken coop. They still are.
Yeah.
So whatever. All right. So to be continued. We'll try to figure it out. Maybe we'll be the fine-tuned vegan females.
Perhaps. Well, I don't know. I do need I like to eat meat, but I do feel sickened by the process. So
Yeah.
I'm being a lot more selective.
Yeah.
And trying to be, cruelty free.
And I've definitely cut down my protein, also based on that research
right.
too. So we just don't need as much protein as we used to think.
Well, you don't need to eat meat every day. I mean, let's
No.
face it, you can eat it once a week or, whatever, but just try. I mean, and a lot of people say that you don't have to drink milk because these cows are treated so inhumanely that,
Yeah.
their calves are taken away from them.
The dairy
so
cows, so they stay lactating.
And they're constantly being impregnated so that they can produce milk. And it's torture.
It is. And I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't have to worry about that. But
Right.
I eat a little bit of cheese, and I can't always control where the cheese comes from. But the only cheese that doesn't upset my stomach is really primarily goat cheese. Some mozzarella is okay, but I have to eat goat and sheep cheese.
Well, how do you control, like, if you want milk? I like milk in my coffee per se. 'Cause I don't like almond milk in my coffee or coconut milk. How do you control where that milk is coming from, that these animals are humanely trained? Because the only way to get milk is to be impregnated and produce milk.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way, really.
Well, they're starting to do llama milk, right? Or camel milk. That's the new thing,
Well,
camel
what's the
milk.
difference? They still have to be impregnated.
I don't know. They're milking. I saw someone on like Vice News or something, and they're trying to sell camel milk now. It's supposed to taste good. You know what's great? Hemp milk. Have you ever tried hemp milk?
No.
Delicious.
Yeah, I tried to get Ben to take the coconut almond milk. I tried to switch him over. He just won't have anything to do with it.
Good.
And he's also lactose intolerant, so.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of Jews are. It's like, right. It's in our DNA. Yeah. So I don't know the answer to that. I mean, people have been drinking milk a long time too. So.
Well, when I used to go with my great-grandfather to the farm in Europe, we used to go with these 2 big silver pails, and and we'd go to the farm and we'd get the milk fresh. I mean, he'd actually milk the cows.
Okay.
They'd let you do it, and those cows didn't look unhappy. They were pretty, like they're on the pasture or whatever, and then they go into a stall, and he sits on a chair and he just milks it, and he comes home with the thing of milk, and there's like this much cream on the top.
Yep.
And so I don't know how. That, like, I don't think they were impregnating the cows as much with,
Right, but it's the factory farming.
Right.
Because we have learned how to mass produce everything.
Because we have to mass produce it, so we don't have enough, supply for the demand, so we have to do these things. It's sort of a vicious circle.
Well, we don't. It comes down to capitalism.
Right.
So now we're talking money.
Money.
Yeah, because the farmer, the agricultural companies, they want to make as much money as possible, which means producing as much animal product as possible so they can lower the price. And the lower the prices, the more people buy it, and then they can make more. So, I mean, it really just comes down to capitalism. I mean, I'm sure that those dairy farmers your grandfather was going to were not millionaires.
No. These were small local farms.
Right. And so small local farms are not millionaires until they get bought up,
right.
By the Tysons of the world.
Right.
And then those people are, those companies. 80% of the food supply in our country is produced by 8 companies.
Isn't that something?
80%. Yeah. So that's how big it is. 80% of our food supply comes from only 8 companies.
Wow.
8 or 9 companies.
Wow.
Yeah. So it comes down to the money, honey.
It does. It's always about the money.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we just have to like talk with our dollar bills. Like, just don't buy the products, and then they'll have to change.
Yeah, as if you're not supporting them, but try to get the masses to follow that.
Try to get McDonald's to stop that.
Right.
Well, that's why I really do support any restaurant chain that supports local farmers.
Right.
Will get my business. That's why that whole local movement's gotten so big.
Right.
Which started in San Francisco. So yay for them.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. I think we've talked about a lot of stuff.
We sure did.
So next week we're going to talk about.
Let's not say it, because we always go off on a tangent.
Because we're women.
We're women.
I went off on a tangent earlier. I was trying to remember. I started to tell you about like how I have to give all this backstory, and then I forgot where I was going with it. Senior moment.
What was that? Was that about the whole coming off the flight and being constipated thing?
No.
We kind of switched gears and changed.
No, mid show, I started giving you like a whole, like talking about how women need to give you the whole background on something.
Oh yeah, right.
So I went so far back in giving you background, I can't remember what the hell I was trying to make.
Jill Brown, the novel, the movie. And that was trying 1 hour.
Totally trying to. I guess when we replay this, we'll see. But I tried to give you the background, and then I got so far into the background, I forgot where I was going.
You know how you lose people. Like, you only have my attention, very devoted attention, for a very small amount of time.
Yeah.
And once you start yapping and making everything go into detail too long, I'm thinking about other things. I'm just looking at you like a deer in headlights. I'm not.
We all do that. Jim always tells me, he says, when I'm talking to you, he goes, I can tell you're thinking about what you want to say before I'm even done telling you what I'm going to tell you.
I tell this to Ben. I'm like, just get to the point.
Ben is worse than any woman. He is worse than any woman I have ever met.
Well, he likes to be very descriptive and thorough. He wants to teach you something.
But he doesn't know where he's going.
He's like a professor.
But he doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know, like, he's not getting anywhere closer to the point like I did about 20 minutes ago.
He starts about, like, I planted the seed, and then there was a tree, and that's how he got the wood for the fire. Like, basically he's got to start.
And then the Jews in Israel. During Moses' time.
And I'm like, just tell me you cut the wood, you got it for the fire. I don't really care about the background of how the wood was made.
So the tables turn. It's so fucked up because, when Jim wants to give me background, and I'm like, get to the point. Because not only when he does feel like being a woman and give me the whole background like Ben always does, and I'm like, get to the point, and I'm the man, he's like, you're so rude.
I try to bullet point as much as I can. I try to speed it up because I feel like I'm losing somebody if I'm getting too winded into the details.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
All right, so that's the next problem we have to solve for
All
women.
right.
But we do that. That's what we do. And
Another
men
world
are not
problem.
supposed to do that. They're just supposed to listen.
Unless they're professors.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah. I actually had some great professors that I could listen to all
Or
day.
writers.
Yeah.
Writers like to be very detailed.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't do it. Okay, next week, things you only remember if you're over 40.
Oh, boy.
Or let's save it. Actually, maybe when we get this episode up, please write in anything you remember that only people over 40 would remember.
Yeah.
So we won't let that out of the bag. And that all happened because I was working out to an 80s playlist on Spotify, and I was like, oh, no one will remember this song unless they're over 40. But yeah, so we'll do that one next week for sure.
Okay.
Okay,
We're on.
Tata.
All right.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Oh wait, we're gonna go work out now.
Oh, yeah.
You
There
have
we
to-
are.
you have
I'm
to
going to change.
Yeah,
We're going
not
to go
me.
work out.
I'm ready to go. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.